Hey, so today is February 7th, and my surgery was January 7th, so that means that today is 1 month from my surgery. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a video log today and update everybody on what's going on, especially since the last video log that I left, I just didn't have any good news. But I do have some good news this time. The first piece of good news is that I am finally done with the tramadol. I am very happy to say that I successfully got through that titration schedule. Not without a few hiccups towards the end. It really it went very, very smoothly for the most part, I have to say. In the very beginning, there were maybe 2 occasions where I could tell it was getting time for my pill. Like I'd get a headache or I'd get like a hot flash almost. But let me just turn the TV off. It's a little distracting. Oh, there we go. Okay. As I went through the whole schedule, it really, as I dropped down each time, it worked kind of seamlessly. It went very well. When I went from taking a half a pill every 12 hours to a half a pill every 24 hours, that's when I started to have some problems. But honestly, they were extremely minor in comparison to what I went through prior to that new titration schedule. So, I mean, all in all, it was a success. My father had asked me, so, if you ever had another surgery, is this a drug that you would consider using again? And I said, well, that's a really good question, and it really depends. If it was pain that I felt that I could handle, then no. Or if I thought that the maximum dose of ibuprofen would take care of it, then that's what I would use. But if it were a surgery that really required something stronger, at least I know how to get off of it now. At least I know what to expect from that drug. So I suppose maybe, but it would have to be a pretty extraordinary set of circumstances for me to use it. So thankfully that's done. And I've never been more thankful to be done with something. The last time I left a video log, and I don't know exactly how long ago that was, a couple weeks ago, I had mentioned that I was a little concerned about my front incision being infected. I had called the doctor and he told me to monitor it it was a Wednesday that I called him. He wanted me to monitor it until Monday, keep it clean, dry, bandaged. Monday came and exactly as I expected, it was not any better. So I called and he told me to come in. My dad drove me into the city. He took a look at it. He agreed with everything that I said. And, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if this was a little thing or if this was a big thing. I didn't know if this is, just, here's a prescription for some antibiotics, go home. Or if this was, well, we need to admit you to the hospital and you need an IV drip of antibiotics overnight or something. I had no idea. So I was kind of hoping he would just send me home with a prescription, maybe clean out the wound. That's it. I was really hoping he wouldn't stitch me up again. I was a little worried about that. And so I go in and he takes a look at it and he's agreeing with everything that I've already said to him. Yes, it looks a little infected. Yes, this is, we need to do something about this. And he looked at me and he said, I think the best way to handle this, and he just looked at me for a second, kind of summing me up, kind of. It's like, I think the best way to heal this up is to do something called packing the wound. Not what I was expecting him to say, and did not sound pleasant. I said, okay. He said, yeah, I think you're a really good candidate for this. I think I can teach this to you and you can do this yourself. Whoa, what? um, so, basically what that entails, he gave me a little kit. I'll show it to you. This and this. And this looks like a little bottle of medicine, but it's not. I don't know if you can see. It's a ribbon. Can you see that? A ribbon of gauze in there. And so I need to take this gauze. Now, mind you, when I'm in his office, he's showing me how to do this. I'm standing up in front of a full-length mirror, and he's packing my wound, showing me how to do this. Just prior to him doing that, he had said to me, I could arrange for a visiting nurse service for you. And ding, ding, ding. I'm like, that sounds like a really good idea. He was not happy with that idea. He said, I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it. He said, sometimes they don't do a good job. I don't agree with that. I really don't. And he said they're only going to come once a day. Because mind you, I was told I had to do this twice a day. Twice a day. And they're only going to come once a day, and they won't come on weekends, blah, blah, blah. Well, in fact, it turns out they only come twice a week, period. But anyway, so he was kind of not for the visiting nurse thing. But as I'm standing up in front of this full-length mirror, and he's packing this wound, and I'm like completely disgusted by this whole process. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way I'm going to be able to do this. And so I said to him, I said, I think I'd like the visiting nurse service anyway. I think that's a good idea. So I said, okay, we can arrange that. So he continues to show me how to pack the wound. So you take this gauze. I'm not going to show you anything gross. And you need to use, do I have one here open already? Yeah. You need to use one of these Q-tips that's on like a wooden stick. Like, when you have strep throat and they like do that horrible strep throat test. One of these. And he's pushing the gauze into the wound. Now, before he even did that, he had to figure out, this is so disgusting, he had to figure out how deep the wound goes. So he does that by taking this, and he starts pushing it in, and I'm like, oh, this is so disgusting. I really had a hard time with this. But he has to, because he has to know how far down it goes, and he has to see if it's tunneling in, if the infection is going inward. And it's painful. It's really not fun at all. He did it as gently as he could. Thankfully, it didn't go very deep. And, so he's showing me how to pack the wound. And, telling me that as the wound gets smaller, I might want to use this end. I have to say, the wound itself, even from the beginning, in terms of, infection, incision wounds, I am sure they get much, much worse than what I had. It was very, very small. The visiting nurse, I saw the doctor on Monday. The visiting nurse came on Friday because it takes a little while for that to get started. They measure it with this. It's a little measuring tape. And when she measured it, now meanwhile, I had been, treating that wound, packing the wound twice a day, Monday through Friday now it was. So, I don't know if it healed at all in that time, but it was about, I can't see this too well, about that deep. I don't know if you can see that. That's not very deep at all. It was like 1.7 centimeters. And it was about 1.7 centimeters across as well. So, pretty small. But at the same time, still very painful. It's still an open wound. that I was very anxious to heal up. And so, what else? The doctor told me that I would have to do this twice a day. He did order the visiting nurse service. Before you pack the wound, you have to clean it out. He cleaned it out with some hydrogen peroxide. The visiting nurse said I should be using saline, but it has to be pure saline, 0.9% saline and nothing else in it. It took me a little while to find it. I got this. I mean, you can't see it, it's probably backwards, but it's just called Simply Saline Wound Wash. And if you look on the back where the ingredients are, and of course backwards again, but this just says 0.9%, whatever that is. It's like sodium chloride solution, and there's nothing else in there. So that's what you're looking for if you have to do this. Took me a while to find that. CVS didn't have it. I had to go to ShopRite had it, but I had to go to the pharmacy. So in addition to that, he ordered 2 blood tests for me. And the blood tests would look to see if this infection was working its way in, because he had no way of knowing that. And that was my biggest fear. Before I went to him, I had no idea how deep this infection was. I didn't know how open this wound was. That's why he had to do that, So you clean it out with the saline, and then you pack the wound, and then you put like a gauze pad over it. And then 12 hours later, you're doing it again. The results from those blood tests came back negative. So that was really good news. The word that I think he used was superficial. So instead of the infection working its way in, it was working its way out. Good. And something amazing happened, which wasn't amazing to him because this is why he had me doing this. But by the time the visiting nurse came on Friday, and I'd been doing this twice a day all week long, there was no longer any infection in there. I was really amazed by that. When you put all that packing in, 12 hours later, you pull it out. You're pulling out all the infectious stuff. I'm trying not to be too gross, but there's pus, and it pulls it out, which is why he wanted me doing that twice a day. Get it out, get it out, get it out. So by the time Friday came, the nurse looked at it when she was measuring it, and when she measures it, she has to do the same thing. She has to use this thing, put it in, and measure it. She said, I see no sign of infection. I see no dead tissue. Thank God. There was never any dead tissue, I don't think. And there's a really good blood supply, which is one thing that concerned me because as the week wore on, I was seeing less yellow and more red, and I was seeing a lot more blood. And I was concerned about that because I thought maybe I'm irritating it. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this twice a day. Maybe it's too much. But she said, no, that's really good. It means it has a good blood supply. This thing is going to heal up like that. So I was like, oh gosh, you're right. That's really smart. No antibiotics. I asked him, so are you going to give me antibiotics? And he said no. And as soon as he said that, I said, you know what, that makes sense because they want to hold on to that as their last line of defense. That's their most potent weapon, and we are quickly losing the potency of that weapon. And so it really is important that we're not using those antibiotics unless we really absolutely need them. So I had to agree with him on that. And the fact that the packing got rid of the infection kind of blew my mind. That was really impressive to me. So I can't say I have an infection anymore. I still have an open wound, but it's not infected at all. So the visiting nurse, the first visiting nurse came on Friday. She was like my intake nurse. And after that, I had a different nurse, and she's kind of the one who will see me all the way through. So the new nurse came on Tuesday, just a few days later. And then she came again on Thursday. And on Thursday, she measured the wound again. I went from, and I had no idea. I was so stunned by this. When she measured it, it had gone from being 1.7 centimeters deep to like 0.7 centimeters deep. So it was almost 2/3 of the way healed. And that's really exactly what the doctor told me to expect. He said the first week that you're doing this, you're not going to see much healing happen because all the cells are getting ready and the collagen is forming. It takes a week for all that to happen. After that, he said, you're going to start to see healing happen, and you're probably going to notice it's going to happen very quickly. So I was all about very quickly, but his definition of very quickly and the nurse's definition of very quickly was about 2 weeks, which to me, of course, feels like an eternity, especially when I've been packing this wound twice a day for a week already, and I have to keep doing it for another 2 weeks. I'm really anxious to have this be over with. But I was really encouraged by the fact that it was almost 2/3 of the way healed already. And so maybe they're right. Maybe I really only have another week. I can't imagine this is going to be completely healed in a week, but we'll see. Every time you pack the wound, you have to leave a little tab of that ribbon hanging out of the wound because you don't want it to close up on the outside. You want it to heal from the inside out. And if it closes on the outside, you could have an open little pocket that could become an abscess. So you have to be really careful about that. So that's, where I'm at with that. It's not a pleasant experience, but oh well, it happened. And I think the reason it happened, and this is just a theory, but I think it had to do with the tramadol withdrawal, believe it or not, because during that time, when I was shaking violently, I could have popped stitches. I was sweating. I wasn't able to take care of myself. I wasn't able to shower. I showered when I could in between, but, there were a day or two where I couldn't shower, and I'm sweating and I'm shaking. And I think that just aggravated the incision. So that's my theory, how that happened. I don't know. But, I think that this is my last really big hurdle. And once I'm past this, I will kind of be on what I consider the other side. So once this is completely healed up and I don't have to pack this wound anymore and I don't have to worry about having an open wound or getting an infection or anything like that or having an infection, then I really feel like that's my last big hurdle. And at that point, the only thing I really need to worry about is, I guess, regaining my stamina. I have strength in that I have full power to my legs, to my whole body. If you saw me walking around or going up and down stairs, well, it depends on the stairs, but if you saw me walking around, you probably wouldn't even know I had a surgery. Never mind spinal surgery only a month ago. And the truth is, the second I came home, I was able to do all that stuff. I had full power and strength to my legs and to my whole body, and I was able to pretty much do all the things I needed to do. I was able to walk around the house. I was able to go up and down stairs. I was able to shower. And none of that was a problem. And it still isn't. And that, I think, was probably the biggest surprise to me of all. I really expected to be so much more debilitated than that coming home from the hospital. I was really amazed that I was able to do so much so easily. The main discomfort that I had was incision pain, in the hospital, nausea and dizziness. Once I got home, there was a little bit of that, but really not too much. The tramadol withdrawal, of course, that was a whole other thing. But yeah, I mean, that was a big surprise to me. But at this point in time, even though I have all of that ability, what I don't have is stamina. And what I mean by that is, like, when my father took me to see the doctor, he's taken me twice now, it's exhausting. It is truly, truly exhausting. Oh, that's a text message. And so, when I go to the doctor, I don't have to do much. I have to walk to the car, get in the car. He drives me into the city. So he's doing all the work. I mean, driving to the city is kind of exhausting in and of itself. He drops me off at the door. I walk down a hallway, get on an elevator, go to the 3rd floor. Doctor's office is right there. I have to wait usually 2 to 3 hours. I mean, it just is what it is. And then when I'm done with the, visiting the doctor, I just go back downstairs and get back in the car and we drive home. Now, the first time I also had to go, he drove me around the block to go to the hospital to have the blood tests. But again, drop me off at the door. I get in an elevator, go upstairs, take my blood, and come back down. But when I get home, that first day, I could barely make it upstairs. I was so tired. And I slept for 4.5 hours. I was exhausted. And the second trip, which was a week later, didn't involve quite as much, but I still came home and passed out for a couple hours. I was really, really tired. So just a simple little trip out like that it just wipes me out. So, I mean, can you imagine if I needed to go to work or something? I wouldn't be able to do that now. So I have to work on increasing my stamina. He gave me clearance to do a couple of things. Number one, he gave me clearance to drive, which I really can't do because there's been a lot of snow. We're in this polar vortex thing that we've got going on here, and there's been a whole bunch of snow. My car is literally encased in this, I don't know, it's surrounded by several feet, I think, of snow packed around it. I can't move that car. So I'm just going to have to wait till it melts. And the fact is, we might be getting more snow. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But eventually I'll be able to drive. I can't wait to drive because I would love to just be able to go get a manicure or go to the grocery store and get a couple things or, things like that. I can't do any of that. And I really don't like asking other people to help me with those things. But unfortunately, I'm still at that point a month later. He also gave me clearance to start going for walks, which, when it's so icy outside, I don't know how smart that is. But, I haven't been outside at all in about a week, maybe less than a week. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if it's icy out there still. There's a lot of snow, but of course people clear their walks and, the roads hopefully are clear. I don't know what they look like. So that's the thing that I would like to be able to go out and do is go for walks. I just don't know how safe it is for me to do that right now. He did give me permission to use an elliptical or a stationary bike, which I can do here at home. Honestly, I would like for this incision to be healed before I start doing that because I'm going to be sweating if I'm doing that. And I don't want to aggravate anything. I would feel better about it. Not to mention, this wound being packed all the time is actually kind of painful. It's a stinging, sharp kind of pain. It's kind of always there. When I'm walking, I'm kind of always holding it because I'm afraid. Not that I'm afraid. It hurts. It kind of hurts, so I'm kind of holding it together. So I don't want to be doing too much exercise. It's hard enough just to walk. So once this thing is zipped up and healed and all of that, then I think I'll feel more comfortable doing that stuff. I had a little setback the other day. It was Tuesday. I was getting ready for the visiting nurse to come, and I was trying to time my shower so that I was all clean and showered just before she came because I wanted to take out the packing, shower, blow dry my hair, just with a gauze pad over it, and then she would come and do the packing. So, she calls first thing in the morning to let you know what time she's coming. So she told me what time she would be there, and I was just trying to time it right. I turned the water off, and I hear the phone ringing. And I said, oh my gosh, she's here. She's trying to tell me she's outside, and she needs to come in, and here I am dripping wet. So I got out of the shower. I grabbed a towel. My bedroom is literally right next to the bathroom. It's maybe 2 steps. It's just go around a corner, boom, I'm in the room. And I opened the bathroom door. I took 1 step into the hallway and whew, my feet went right out from under me and I fell hard. That was really scary. It was really scary for me, but I think it was a lot scarier for my sister who was sleeping downstairs. When I fell, of course, I screamed. And I didn't move. And I heard her scream my name. And I yelled back, I think I'm okay, but come up anyway. So she came running upstairs. She said she didn't think her feet even hit the ground. She was like, whoo, right up the stairs. And I'm glad she came up because I needed her to help me up. And thankfully, I'm very lucky. I don't think I did any damage to my spine. I gotta tell you, this hardware it endures a lot. It really can take a lot. Doesn't mean I should go doing any acrobatics anymore, but yeah, so there was that. I was glad that the nurse was coming right after that because I wanted to tell her about that. She basically said, as long as you don't have any severe pain or sharp shooting pains or nerve problems, it'll probably be fine. It seems like my legs, the front of my calves, like where the bone is, that took the brunt of everything. So I beat up my leg pretty good, but that's fine. I don't care if I break the leg, as long as the spine is fine, that's all that matters. And I was very lucky in that it was fine. My spine is fine, thank God. So I kind of lucked out because my visiting nurse, who is my regular nurse now, she herself has had spinal surgery. She has had a 3-level fusion in her spine. So she knows everything that I'm going through. Questions that I have, I can ask her. She's been through it already. It was something that happened to her on the job. She was working on someone in the ER, someone, who was very overweight, and she blew out 3 discs. So that really sucks. But so she had that surgery, and she feels fine. She said it was something that she really needed to do, and she feels perfectly normal. So I feel really good about that. And it's good to know that I can ask her all those questions. So that's pretty much what's been going on. I have a list of all the things I want to talk about here, and I feel like I've only gotten to half of them. What else? Well, I think all the other stuff that I wanted to talk about, since this is already at 27 minutes, that's my phone. I'm probably going to put in a different video. So I will talk to you later.